Point of No Return by Wildheart. Chapter 8, 8th Deliberation. In the world where Celestia's sun still rose, morning had come. Rarity woke with a start, her eyes focusing on the table where she'd fallen asleep. The unicorn shook her head to clear it, but instantly regretted the action when it brought her a headache.
Oh, where was I?
She looked down at her notes, which she found no longer to be there. She blinked and got up, heading upstairs to check on Nyx. Bed was empty, and her eyes widened.
Nyx! Nyx! Where are you?
She runs downstairs, checking the side rooms in a panic. Spike groaned at the sudden noise, wishing it could go away. When his mind registered what Rarity was doing, however, he also jumped out of the bed, disturbing a note that fluttered to the ground. He snatched it up and read it, his eyes getting wider as they pored over it. The dragon rushed downstairs, holding it in the air. "Rarity! I found a note! You should see this!" He wasn't holding it for long, as a blue glow enveloped a scrap of paper, lifted into the air, and in front of the white unicorn's gaze.
Dear Miss Rarity, I'm really sorry, but I can't stay. I found out how to get to where Mama is. I'm not entirely good at magic yet, but I can follow instructions, and I think I could do this by myself. I bet you'll want to come too, but I couldn't wait. The notes and stuff are in the basement, but I think you'll need friends to help you. Signed, Nyx.
The fashionista tore away from where she stood before, rushing to the basement. The lab equipment inside had been shoved to the walls, and a ritual circle had been drawn on the floor with black paint. And over there is a crystal mirror, which is also easy. It seemed crude, and had likely been drawn over several times. Rarity could not comprehend this actually working. She cast her eyes around the room, searching for the filly.
Nyx! Nyx, dear, this isn't really a good idea. Please come out!
The unicorn called, as she began to seek the small alicorn actively. There were many spots one could hide down in here, thanks to all the machinery. She spied a few scraps of paper on the table, but her gaze never found the filly it sought.
Please, dear, you're not in trouble. I'm only worried about you.
Now and then, her eyes shot back to the designs painted on the floor, feeling a tinge of her compulsion towards neatness. Eventually, it grew too neat to ignore, and Rarity sighed. A brush lifted as her horn glowed, and its tuft was dipped into the paint bucket.
Spike, darling, Nyx must be around here somewhere. This ritual is completely unworkable in this state.
She hadn't even finished before she had heard Spike rushing out, door slamming behind him. She smiled at his concern for his little sister, but the unicorn's smile drew to a frown of concentration as he went back to work. It took nearly an hour, but when she was finished, the designer had used her great attention to detail to somehow force a perfect circle from the mess it had been before.
That's a proof he's filled once I find those notes. Now, where are they?
Remembering the scraps of paper from before, she trotted over to review them. Rarity smiled at the effort the young filly put into this. Though she herself had done most of the research, Twilight had taught the foal well when it came to organization skills. Nyx had compiled it all and put it to actual work. Thankfully, the alicorn's handwriting was far better than her drawing skills. Rarity attributed that to some of her older memories seeping through. When she finished the last note, the unicorn furrowed her brow as she read it aloud.
Thank you for finishing it, Miss Rare.
Her eyes went wide as she realized she'd been tricked, and whipped around just in time to feel a magical surge that was large enough to make her dizzy. At the center of the circle now was the little alicorn, and she looked very apologetic.
I'm sorry, Miss Rarity!
Before the designer could recover enough to stop her, the filly had disappeared. In a world where night rules eternal, a lavender-coated unicorn descended a flight of stone stairs, her destination a dungeon. She would normally have stayed far from such a place, but this dungeon contained the friends of a pony that was her, or at least something close. She wouldn't be happy to see them, however. To say Twilight sparkles angry would be an understatement, but her rage was abated by fatigue. Queen Nyx had been brought into a good mood by her victory, and Twilight wanted to use that as much as she could in her attempts to talk Nyx out of the executions. She had been talking to her daughter all night, and the unicorn's anger was partly due to her lack of sleep. The other parts were from the assault on the Alicorn itself, what he had learned from the monarch. Applejack's rebellion seemed rather terrible indeed, though Twilight had learned long ago that every story has two sides, and now she wanted the element of honesty side of things. The guard that accompanied her turned his head to acknowledge Twilight as he reached the door to the cell block. "Miss Sparkle, as a precaution against the prisoners escaping," he spoke quietly, "you will be locked into the block. The prisoners will not be able to harm you if you stay away from the bars." Twilight had not, and would not, consider the idea that those ponies might hurt her. The very idea was absurd to her. "When you want to come out, knock on the door and announce yourself." The unicorn just nodded, and the soldier opened the door for her. Other guards had already searched the saddlebags he was wearing for contraband, and found nothing but a quill, inkwell, and a small journal. She wrinkled her nose at the horrid smell.
Was the door blocking this horrid stench?
She stepped forward, breathing through her mouth to avoid picking up that scent. The slam of the door behind her made her jump a bit, heart racing. Twilight put a hoof to her chest, taking a deep breath to calm herself. Once she felt as though she could continue, the unicorn stepped forward.
Girls.
The librarian didn't like what she saw. They seemed so helpless, so downtrodden. Save for Pinky, each one of them looked like they'd really given up. Applejack lifted her head to Twilight's voice. The mare looked exhausted, but not the kind one gets for sleepiness. It was a weariness that came from facing disaster. In this case, mortality. The azure pony beside her was thankfully asleep, though from her expression, she was likely having nightmares. Twilight couldn't blame her. She remembered facing her own death on the gallows after all. "Hi, Sugar Cube." Applejack grayed without even a hint of energy. "You came to say goodbye?" Twilight shook her head quickly, trying to put on a smile for the orange pony. Then what?
"I'm trying to get you girls out here alive. No pony's going to die today, I promise."
The unicorn sounded more confident than she looked. But every little bit helped. The earth pony laid her neck gently over Trixie's, which helped to soothe the dreams, but didn't expel them entirely. "Thank you, Twi, but I think you're simply making promises you can't keep." The farm mare smiled despite her words. "I'm ready to die. I just don't want Trixie to have to go too." Unicorn dropped her neck, closing her eyes tight for a moment as she tried to find the strength to continue. She reminded herself again this wasn't the Applejack she knew. It didn't help in the slightest.
"No! I will get you out of this! All of you! But I need to know something for sure. Applejack, is it true your rebellion keeps the ponies of Equestria from receiving aid?"
Applejack's head jerked up, fire in her eyes. This movement woke Trixie with a start, the blue unicorn narrowing her eyes at Twilight, but saying nothing.
"That's a lie! A damn lie! We ain't never done nothing to keep any pony from getting food or shelter. We've been fighting Nightmare Moon this whole time, but I'll never let any of my stallions or mares disrupt the supply lines."
Rarity's voice came out from another cell.
"Why would they need them? The rest of Equestria is doing that as punishment, is it not? That is what we've always been told."
"And that's why y'all in Ponyville hate the rebellion, ain't it? Now, Rarity, I've seen it with my own eyes. Equestria's dying out there, slowly but surely." She gave a heartbreakingly sad but sincere look to the direction of the white unicorn's voice. "You gotta believe me, Rare. I'll admit," she said, swallowing before continuing, "that Her Royal Majesty does try to get food and warmth to everyone, but it's always too little too late. The ponies are getting sick of it. Most of them won't even take the aid, saying they'd rather starve or freeze than accept her as their queen."
That's horrible!"
Twilight was in shock as he spoke that, her eyes wide. She looked around at the various cells, as if seeking confirmation from the rest of them.
"I love the princesses, and I would be very upset to see them get replaced too. But isn't that going too far?"
She couldn't help but give Applejack an accusing look.
"Didn't you ever tell them to take the supplies?"
The farm mare snorted, and rolled her eyes at Twilight's indignance. "Sugar Cube, come on! What am I going to do? Shove the food down their throats? I can't control what the populace does. I can only inspire them, tell them what they should do. You can lead a cult to water, but you can't make them drink. There was silence before she added, and there ain't enough to drink, nohow. Another silence filled the air. Twilight looked down to the floor again, not knowing what to say to this. Verity broke the still herself.
I had no idea, Applejack. I'm truly very sorry for my reluctance to help. I simply cannot believe I took every lie like I was told like a fool!
The clop of her hoof, being stomped into the stone, rang out. Applejack grinning. It was still too late, but at least she would go to her grave, knowing her friends no longer thought her a fool. The grin faded at the next words.
And yet, she is still trying. Perhaps there's not enough, but Her Majesty is still attempting to make things better for all of us. Really, is she so bad? Applejack, what is this really about?
She didn't name Speedfire, but it was implied enough. Darling, I'm going to ignore that you just suggested that this is all some kind of personal vendetta on my part. That's how it started, I can't lie. But I didn't stay out of Pumelville just because of that. I'll stay out of there because the rest of Equestrian needed a leader. They needed somebody to support them, to help them along. Nightmare Moon can't do it. She don't have enough. The populace won't accept her offers of replacing crops with this new stuff. Trixie stood suddenly, trying to reach behind her with her jaws.
I can explain far better. This letter contained an ultimatum that our spies were apparently meant to intercept. If I could only get at it!
She strained, trying to bite into the hairband that kept her hair up out of the way. Applejack reached forward and pulled the hairband up with her jaws. A piece of paper, folded up many times, fell to the ground.
Thank you, love. Now, please, read this.
Trixie was not about to get her mouth anywhere near that floor if she could help it. So the azure unicorn pushed the letter towards Twilight. She lifted it with her magic and began to read. Her expression quickly turned to horror. Skimming the letter at first, the magician reread it again and again, not able to believe what she was seeing. She dropped the paper as if it were on fire after the third time. Twilight felt as though she were going to throw up.
Oh, Celestia, I can't, no, I can't believe it!
She shook her head violently, tears quickly forming in her eyes.
This isn't real! She went!
Trixie kept her expression calm as she could, so she really just wanted to slap the unicorn silly.
Yes, it is real. That is her handwriting. I assume you are capable of recognizing it.
She wasn't able to keep some of the scorn out of her voice. Twilight either didn't notice or didn't care. She lifted her head to the other unicorn.
It's not going to happen, though. She has both of you. That's what she wanted, isn't it? And how long until another rebellion is formed? How long until she decides to do something like this again?
Twilight regained enough of herself to rebuke to stamp a hoof angrily, glaring at the former showmare, who returned her glare at full force.
What if it's a bluff? What if it isn't? That she is threatening it in the first place, so she would go through with it if she really had to.
Trixie shot back.
After all, if she didn't go through with it, it would send a message that she was too weak to.
From another cell, Rainbow Dash snickered. Speaking too weak. I bet you were the reason the elements bucked up in the first place. That completely took the wind out of Trixie's sails. Unicorn shrank back from the cell bars, trying to make herself as small as possible. Applejack came to her defense. Oh yeah? I remember a certain Pegasus not being too loyal last night. How do we know it wasn't you who ruined everything? Yeah, 'cause it was totally me who ruined it the last time we tried to make Nightmare Moon taste the rainbow.
Girls.
Not to be deterred, Applejack retorted. Besides, Rarity had some problems too, didn't she?
No, that was simply unnecessary. I did nothing different from any other case if we have used the elements.
Girls, don't drag Rarity into this. She's actually one of the elements, which is far more than we can say for that loudmouth bit. Rainbow Dash was cut off by a scream, which sent all the occupants of the cell reeling.
You're all going to shut up and listen!
Everybody shut up.
Thank you.
All heads turned to Fireside's cell. and the door to the cell block opened. "What's going on here?" The guard looked suspiciously at the elevator unicorn. He coughed to the side.
Nothing. Just an argument. I'm not finished here yet.
When the soldier hesitated in leaving, Twilight waved a hoof.
Look, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong.
Only when the door shut did Twilight look back into a very sheepish Fluttershy, who was drawing a circle on the hoof with her forehoof.
So sorry, but...
She closed her eyes for a moment, before the Pegasus took on a determined glare.
No, I'm not sorry. What I am is disappointed. I'm disappointed in all of you.
Every pony in the room stayed quiet, perfectly still under the force of the ranger's scolding.
We were all supposed to work together for a common goal, to save the ponies of Equestria, but none of you can put aside your differences. So we're all going to talk it out, all of you. Every single one of you here is at fault for what happened, and you're all going to fast and make up.
She took a deep breath.
Diamond Verity, you know that if there was a peaceful solution, then it would have been done already. You're just making excuses so you don't have to face the fact that your career is based on the fact of a tyrant rule. Would you really have had the success you do now if you had any real competition? Is that what you want? To take the easy street to your dreams? You know better. It doesn't really mean anything if you haven't worked for it. That's how you've always thought about your career. Pinkie Pie, I know it still hurts a little, but keeping it bottled up inside will just make things worse. A happy face only makes others happy if you're happy. I can tell you're just trying not to think about it, and that's very brave of you, but it's doing more harm than good. Rainbow Dash, I am most of all disappointed in you. Maybe this isn't your world. Maybe these aren't your friends. And maybe you don't have the responsibility to make sure everything is okay here. But did you have to make sure I was okay when we first met? When you defended me in flight school? You're scared and angry. It's okay to be those things. But I know deep down you still want to help us. So stop being so petty! As for you, Applejack, you're being just as selfish as Verity. You had to stop moping over your Dash. It's been 5 years, Applejack, and you're only hurting yourself, Trixie, and now us. Appreciate what you have before you lose it. Twilight, what this Nyx is doing is wrong. I know you care for her. I know you don't want to admit your daughter is capable of this, but you can't neglect your duty as one of the elements of harmony. Remember, there's a different set of circumstances that shaped her as she is in this world. She's not the same Nyx you know. Maybe you can reach her. Maybe you can save her. But right now, we can't work with maybes. Even if you won't act for us, act for her before she does something truly horrible. Finally, Trixie.
Fluttershy's tone became much more soft and comforting.
Trixie, you're a far cry from what you were before. You shouldn't have had to worry about whether or not you'll accept you as a friend. You're willing to do what you need to protect this world, even if it's throwing yourself into what you hate most. Critique of yourself. That by itself proves you could do this. You've never doubted yourself before. Don't doubt now. Not when we need you most to be proud and strong.
Fluttershy lowered her head, panting softly, seeming drained from her string of outbursts.
But I guess it doesn't matter, since we're in prison now.
The mayors gathered, could only stand in stunned silence, the guilt creeping into their thoughts slowly. Piggy was the first to speak. The pink pony's voice tinged with grief.
I'm really sorry, girls. I tried. I really did. But after I hit Twilight, all I could think about was how I hurt her. Please forgive me, Twilight. I wasn't thinking.
The unicorn took a deep breath. Her head still hurt from that blow, but she couldn't bring herself to anger, not after Fluttershy's rant.
It's okay, Pinkie. I forgive you. I know how you can get sometimes, and I couldn't hold that against you.
Applejack had, during the speech, laid a hoof on the front brim of her head, pushed it down over her eyes. I've been a damn fool myself. Trixie, The blue unicorn held up a hoof to cut her off, shaking her head.
Not another word, Applejack. We have more important things to worry about.
The farm bear rose and pushed her hat back up, green eyes locking firmly into Trixie's own. A disapproving frown on Applejack's muzzle brought the former stage musician pause. Now you listen here, darling. Not talking about this is what got us into the situation, and I ain't about to make that same mistake again. Peggy's got the right idea, Trixie. I'm sorry. didn't want to admit it, because of how sensitive you can be sometimes. But I guess I ain't quite over this. She didn't move her gaze the entire time, not willing to break her stare. It did soften, however, as she continued. I loved her deeply. Losing her was like losing part of myself. Trixie grit her teeth and shut her eyes, a tear sliding down her left cheek as Applejack spoke.
So do I mean nothing then? Is Trixie just a replacement, there to tide you over until you can join her? Or replace Trixie with someone you can't have?
Not even in my darkest days would I ever, Trixie. Applejack smiled as he lifted a hoof to the unicorn's chin. I lost a part of myself in Dash Die, but you helped me get back. You, Sugar Cube. You kept me going all that time. I had my moment of weakness, but I don't want us going to the grave unsure of each other. I love you, darling. Trixie pulled away, head turning down, into the side.
Applejack, please.
She was forced to look back toward the far mare, when the very same kissed her. Trixie's magenta eyes went wide. For a moment she relented, kissing her lover back, with blush tinged cheeks. For a few moments she broke a kiss. Her smiling cheeks were wet with more tears, and Applejack wiped them clean as best as he could with a huff. Technically, Trixie's eyes are more of violet.
I love you too, Applejack. We don't have much more time, but I don't want to die resenting you either.
Hey, stop being sappy over there, Rainbow Dash teased, letting loose a nervous chuckle. You're making me jealous. Applejack and Trixie blinked at the unexpected commentary and realized they were still in the company of friends. Not alone. Both friends had a red glow in their cheeks, Applejack rubbing the back of her head, while the magician turned her head and coughed imperiously. Neither were able to stop a smile, however, or a laugh. Sorry, Sugar Cube. Kinda forgot you all were still here.
Yeah, well, I'm still here.
And I'm sorry. I'm a mule, I know. No offense. None taken. Dash pouted at the very idea of actually saying sorry, but he went through it anyway.
The other side was right. I am mad.
I'm not scared, though. I'm not scared of nothing.
So, you're scared of everything?
Trixie smirked, and your pony next to her gave her a slight whap on her blonde tail. Trixie, let the mayor apologize. Thankfully, the comment went over Rainbow's head. No, I'm not scared of nothing. Jeez, pay attention. Twilight was trying very hard not to laugh at the clueless correction. Rarity couldn't lift out Buzz snark, while Trixie just grinned. Anyway, yeah, I'm mad. Who wouldn't be? But hey, I gotta get my priorities straight. I need element of loyalty, and I haven't been acting like it. Don't give up yet, you two. We'll get out of this. I just gotta break these bars. Darling, you can't break those bars. Des wasn't listening. She was straining the bars of her hoof. Never mind. So, Rarity, I know I went out of Ponyville half-cocked, but
think nothing of it, my old friend.
Rarity rubbed at the anti-magic collar on her neck, considering it.
Applejack, I doubted you. I am sorry as well. And there's one thing I learned as your friend, was that you are nothing if not trustworthy.
Her hoof found a keyhole and smiled. Aha! How looked? Applejack strained, trying to look into Rarity's cell. But it was a doomed effort from the beginning.
I found the lock on this collar. Does anyone have a hairpin or a needle?
Fade now, Sugar Cube.
No, Miss Rarity, I do not. So sorry.
Do I seem like the kind of mayor who has something like that?
Nope. Please shut up. But I got something better. I got my laugh back.
She giggled to prove the point. Twilight smiled, making up her mind at long last.
I have something just as good.
Okay, girls, listen. Twilight took a deep breath, hoping no pony would interrupt. When they stayed quiet, aside from Dash, who was still groaning and grunting as he attempted to break out of her cell, she continued.
I still think we can work this out peacefully, but I won't stop you if it really comes to using the elements. Not this time.
She quickly added,
I won't help you either. I'm sorry, I just can't even think of harming my daughter. No mother would ever want that. What I will, though,
Twilight paced slowly between the cells, looking at all of them in turn as he passed.
What I will do, though, is stall her. You girls need to get out of here. I'm not going to let any pony hurt my friends. But you can't get out here with her breathing down your necks. I'll keep her busy.
Well, that's great and all, but we still gotta get out here, Sugar Cube.
I've got a quill right here.
Twilight looked at it with magic. Is this going to work? Rarity's eyes lit up as he caught their hooves together.
Yes! Listen, dear. You must do something for me. Exactly what I say. This would be hard, and it may take a while. But you're a quick learner. Okay, what is it?
Twilight stepped over to the white unicorn cell, holding the quill up.
Wait, I get it. You want me to help pick the lock on this. Rarity, I said I wouldn't. Twilight, how can we get us out of here if you don't help us to some degree? Please, don't do us the favor from the very beginning of our plan.
Rarity pleaded. Her eyes watered and sparkled in a way that was very hard for Twilight to say no.
All right, tell me what to do.
Twilight held the quill's tip close to the collar's keyhole.
Yes!
Rarity hopped to the air in excitement, but Susie was on the ground again. She cleared her throat and pretended as though nothing happened.
Now, stick the quill's point in. Use the glow of your horn to light the mechanism inside. What you're looking for are tiny pegs on the top. Those are the tumblers.
No, I will not do a tumbler gag. You people can't make me. Rarity explained, as Twilight looked for what he was speaking of.
Wow, those are really small. I see them now. Good. Now what you must do is depress the tumblers in just the right way. You'll hear a very soft click, so you'll need complete silence. Do that to all the tumblers and you'll unlock the collar. Just be sure not to snap! Sorry, Rarity, I messed up.
The white unicorn groaned, buried her face in her forehoofs.
Something understands for something thin enough to fit into the lock. A pin, a bone, something!
Twilight went about the shore, hurrying. She looked into each cell, through each one, and aside from those accompanied by her friends, were completely empty. The skeleton across from Applejack and Trixie's cell was incomplete, and any bones that were small enough had long since been carried away by pests. Dejected, she walked back to Rarity's cell, head hung low and eyes to the floor.
I can go get something, but I doubt they'll let me back in.
Rarity sighed.
We'll figure out something else, dear. Go on, stall for us.
Just as the lavender pony was turning to leave, there was a loud popping sound from outside the cell block, followed by a grunt and a loud clattering.
Oh no! I'm sorry, Mr. Guard. Mr. Guard, are you okay?
There came a sniffling, then crying.
No! I killed him! I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it.
Twilight rushed through the door, unable to believe what she was hearing.
Nyx? Nyx, is that you? Mama! Please don't punish me for killing Mr. Guard.
The unicorn couldn't help but smile.
I'm sorry you didn't kill him, Nyx. He's probably just unconscious.
She saw back a sob, choking on a bit. She couldn't stop herself from crying, though.
Oh, Hugh. Mama, why are you crying?
Twilight quickly wiped her eyes.
I'm just so happy to know you're all right, Nyx. Now, you need to help me. There should be a key ring on that guard. Unlock this door and bring the keys in with you, okay?
Thinking of the skeleton, she changed her mind.
Actually, just pass the keys through the window.
She'll have to duck as the key ring shot through the door's fuse slot and soon down the slope, hitting the far wall and bouncing off, hitting a fair distance.
Well, be careful! I'm sorry, Mama. I got a little too excited.
The little alicorn sheepishly apologized. It's okay. Now stay right there. Don't move. Sugar Cube, what the hey is going on? Is that...
I really want an explanation too, Applejack, but now is not the time. I said I'd get you girls out here, and I will.
Twilight tried each of the keys in the keyhole for Rarity's cell. As each one fell, Twilight got more and more apprehensive. She let off a relieved sigh, however, when the last one she managed to get the lock undone, and the cell opened.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll get... None of these keys match these collars!
The lavender unicorn drooped.
It must have been an extra precaution to keep the keys for them somewhere else.
Rarity smiled, despite the setback.
I am out of that 30 cent at least. You'll just need to find something to undo this lock later.
Twilight's eyes widened as he remembered something. The unicorn rushed to the door, unlocked it, and threw it open. The filly on the other side squeaked. It jumped back in surprise, but she squeaked happily as her mother hugged her tight for a few moments, then checked her mane. Nyx's hair was a mess, but a certain part of it was still in place.
Oh, thanks, Celestia!
She pulled out the hairpin, and the foal blinked as her mane was now fluffed over her head. Okay. Nyx with her mane loose just looked simply adorable.
Mama?
I need this right now, Nyx. I'll be right back. Taking the hairpin back to Rarity. It took Twilight only a few minutes before she figured out the lock, and the collar fell to the floor. The white unicorn flexed her neck with a sigh of relief.
That was so very uncomfortable. Thank you, dear. Now, let me see the hairpin.
Taking the metal sprig from Twilight's magical grasp, Rarity set upon Trixie's collar. While Twilight had taken a few minutes, Rarity had read Roll's collar off in mere seconds. Twilight gasped at the sight. When did you learn to do this, Rarity?
Ha 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 ha! Let's not bring up the past, dear.
She beamed with a smile that spoke volumes about how quickly Twilight had dropped his target. The magician took the hint. Applejack grinned as he straightened her head. Well, that's that then. Let's go give Nightmare Moon a little surprise. Trixie shook her head and put a hoof on the Earth Pony's shoulder.
No, we need reinforcements. We can't bet on her lieutenants being far from her. They'll expect a rescue attempt after all.
So he turned to Twilight.
I'll take our friends back to our headquarters. Gather up our forces. You keep trying to stop Nightmare Moon from this crime.
Twilight nodded, scooped up her dart, placing a small filly on her back.
Okay, this is going to get confusing now. I'm already confused, Mama.
The foal lay down on her mother's back, frowning.
I'll explain on the way up. You're going to be a big help to us, Nyx.
The foal beamed at the idea of being useful. As the others were teleported away, Twilight started up the stairs quickly.
Now, how am I going to get this world's Nyx to believe I had nothing to do with their escape?
Queen Nyx laid in her bed, legs under her. She hadn't planned on sleeping yet. The monarch was waiting for Twilight to return from visiting her friends. The alicorn had given a lot of thought to what Twilight had said, but she couldn't back down now. She wouldn't back down. As Queen Nyx explained to the unicorn, if the rebellion was gone, it would crush the hope of a proper opposition to her rule. The ponies of Equestria would be far more likely to give in, and if they did give in, that would mean they would accept her aid. Thousands, no, millions of lives would be saved. If she had to execute 2 ponies for that, then so be it. She didn't want her subjects to suffer after all. She was no monster. Her head turned as she heard a knock on the door.
What is it?
From the other side came a gruff but cheerful voice. Your Majesty, it's Fletcher. I wanted to check on you. Are you okay in there? The alicorn smiled and rose from her bed.
I am well. Everything is going perfectly according to plan after all.
She opened the door to reveal Fletcher. Beside him was a small foal, a white unicorn with a vividly blue mane, and a crescendo mark on her own flanks.
Adasia, what are you doing up here?
The filly shuffled her hose slyly, a blush on her cheeks as she tried to find the words to explain. Fletcher chuckled. She said she had nightmares and wants to sleep with you. The little unicorn nodded slowly, eyes on the floor. I'm going back on patrol. Don't like how quiet things are.
Very well. Fletcher, come, Adasia. Let's get you tucked in.
As the chief major left, Adasia followed the tall alicorn into her room. Though she turned to her magic.
You poor thing. What did you dream about?
At that, the youngest of her lieutenants stepped into bed and squeezed herself close to the unicorn's flank, shuddering. Queen Nyx finished Adasia's ascent for her, with her tail gently wrapped around the foal.
I dreamed you were defeated, and you lived forever.
The filly buried her face in the Dark Queen's side. The monarch just smiled as Adasia cried.
It's a silly dream, Adasia. I'm not going anywhere. My rule is eternal as my night. I will never leave you, ever.
The queen lowered her muzzle to gently nudge the filly over the pillow. Her dark magic suspended over a blanket over the small unicorn. Covering up and tucking it snugly around her.
I'll make sure your dreams won't turn so unpleasant tonight. Sleep well.
The filly yawned and closed her eyes. A happy smile graced her muzzle as she nestled into the blanket and pillow.
Good night.
Good night,
my beloved daughter.